Ladies and gentlemen, rockers and hip-hoppers, juggalos and juggalettes. Welcome to another edition of Stitches and Glitches. I am your host, the often over-caffeinated, sleep-deprivated artist known as Seeth, and we are here with a special episode this week. So back in the not-so-distant year of 2021, I was approached by a dear friend, a Mr. Caleb Straus, a.k.a. The Death of Zenith, a.k.a. part owner of Saloon Records, a.k.a. the director and mastermind of upcoming psychological thriller Overnight. So Caleb had hit me up and said, hey, I'm interested in making a soundtrack for this movie, both tracks that are already released by people that I feel fit, and I'm making some original compositions that I would like for people to hop on for the movie. And the particular track we're going to talk about today is a song called Bottom of the Well. It was composed by Caleb himself, along with his friend Alan Turner. And when it was brought to me, Caleb was very adamant. He was like, listen, I hear you. This has Seeth written all over it. Can you please do this? And, I was like, oh yeah, man, sounds good. So we're going to do something a little different. We're going to take a minute to see what Mr. Caleb has to say about Bottom of the Well.
So the impetus with the entire soundtrack was to harken back to some of my favorite compilation-based soundtracks from the 90s, mid to late 90s, like Lost Highway, or I guess this is a little earlier, but The Crow, Spawn, things like that. Things that felt loosely conceptual, at least in the sense that you had a plethora of artists contributing something that was definitely within their wheelhouse, but also something that matched the world being created for the film and did it in an auditory way. It's an art that's somewhat lost in the current scene. I don't see that being done a lot now. So it's a bit retro, but I definitely wanted to bring that kind of thing back. And as is the case with this track, Bottom of the Well with Seeth, as was also the case with Portal by Sam Astaroth and The Death of Zenith, which is my current project, I was asked to create the instrumental for the track, for that artist, so that it was within the wheelhouse of Overnight, so that it matched the world that Alan and I were creating, both with the score and with the selections of music we were working with. Some of the music we selected was pre-existing. A lot of it was built from scratch. And in the case of those built from scratch, like Bottom of the Well, I gave the artist a prompt. I believe the prompt I gave Patrick was a degree of self-loathing based on the wrong decision made, but knowing that you had to live with the decision. It was too late to undo it. You had to live with the decision that you made, and the consequence of that eroding at your natural and authentic self over time. And he delivered back some really, great lyrics, his signature Tortured Sea thing. The music was composed by myself and Alan, who's also co-composing some of the score music on Overnight with me. And it was interesting because while Portal was a marriage of DNA, it was a marriage of the sound of The Death of Zenith and Sam Astaroth, and so it's billed that way. This is just credited as a Seeth track because in our mind, this was just a Seeth track. I mean, he works with various producers anyway. And what Alan and I did in terms of composing was to try to create a track that could easily be on a Seeth record and also felt like it was part of this world, So there are things like strings and orchestration that you might not typically hear, on a trap metal track. But I don't know. Hopefully we hit the mark. But that was basically, from my perspective, that was the genesis of Bottom of the Well. It's one of my favorite tracks, not only on the soundtrack, but that I've worked on.
So, as Caleb had said, the lyrical content for this was very interesting and it was very fun to work on. What Caleb had done was he was like, listen, I need some real somber, melancholy, depressing type vibes. The happy shit, you know what I'm saying? So what he had done was he'd given me the script for the scene of which this was based around, so I had that to work off of. So I, sat with my pad and pen and was listening to the instrumental and came up with what would be the lyrical content, sent it over to him, and he was like, dude, killed it, knocked it out of the park, perfect. Then come the hard part. I get this interesting, really weird, fucked up instrumental that has all these peaks and valleys, nothing conventional about it whatsoever. And come down to, what am I going to do to paint this canvas with my voice? And I pride myself in, when I do features and stuff, having a rather quick turnaround time. And this was not the case. I think I sat on this track for a good 4, 5, 6 months. I'd record it. I'd be like, I'm done. Got it. I'd ship it over to Caleb and be like, what do you think, dude? And he'd be like, it's awesome. And I'd be like, you're fucking lying. It's shit. Back to square one. And it was like this for months. So thank you, Caleb, to having patience and dealing with me on it. But like I said, the instrumental was definitely an interesting composition. It has the essence of what Seethe is. It's got them dark, heavy trap metal vibes. And there's nothing conventional about the structure. There's no verse, chorus, bridge, out. Like I said, it kind of weaves in and out. It has parts that are very quiet, very eerie and creepy, and then parts that are just heavy, balls to the wall, and then other parts you're just like, what the fuck am I listening to? So I took the lyric, and the thing is with something like this, and what I'm very proud of at the end of the day is the lyrical content and the instrumental go together like peanut butter and jelly to paint what is going on in the movie. It starts off very kind of trappy, pulled back, reserved, and it's got that like something's coming. And it just kind of keeps going up, and it kind of pulls back, and it keeps building. And then all shit breaks loose. Whenever the track really lets go and rips, the best way I could say it is it sounds like a jackhammer with the sounds of a crystal methed out Atari soundtrack. Like, it's just crazy and bananas. And then flips the script and adds guitars into the mix. And then it almost kind of, to me, it reminds me of like early Tool, like Adam Jones, just kind of... It's weird, dude. You have to listen. It was definitely it was definitely a hard piece to push through, but it was one of them things where, you keep going after it. You keep trying to reach perfection, at least the best or closest you can get to it. It was worth the wait. I'm very excited for this movie. Very thankful to have been a part of this soundtrack. Like I said earlier, if you have not followed them, please go check out Solunar Records, indie label based out of Texas, and the movie Overnight, along with Caleb's main now musical project, The Death of Zenith. The soundtrack will be broken up into 2 pieces, the first half of it being released in December of 2022, and the following half, I believe, in the winter of 2023. But lots of good music, lots of cool stuff. It's kind of a return to form of like the 90s and early 2000s soundtracks, where you had them killer songs that just meshed with the movie, be it original compositions and whatnot. Retro and dated, maybe, but I feel it's something that is missing nowadays, when you were excited, almost as excited for the soundtrack to come out as you were the movie, that's the beauty of art, man. And that's why we love it. That's why we do it. It's our lifeline, So I'm going to quit chatting. We're going to go ahead and listen to the exclusive premiere of Bottom of the Well.
Watch the light grow and let it dim. Watching the lie of an avarice. Find myself alone, a barricade. Find myself alone.